But I'm gonna get a gnome. We're gonna have it for good luck.
Good luck gnome.
Good luck gnome.
Didn't we have a
We
troll out
we
here
had
already?
trolls, but trolls are a different creature.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know where they went. We had BB-8 back here.
Yeah.
We have
Gnomish.
some Aztec woman drinking by a lake.
Yeah, that's not clean. Don't drink from lakes. You will get.
Back in the
bad
Aztec
effect.
times, lakes were rivers. You can drink from rivers, not from lakes. Not now.
No, not then either. It was
Not-
like you might have been used to it, but it would get you sick. Welcome to another Roman Roads Medley. I'm Rhodes,
I'm Roman.
and today we're going to be talking about garden gnomes of all things.
Why are we talking about garden gnomes? This is a topic that you texted me earlier about.
I saw a commercial with one, or something popped up online, but it made me wonder if they had an actual purpose, and I was thinking maybe something like scarecrow for a garden.
That was
but-
the text you sent me. Whether
Yeah.
garden gnomes were just decorative or if they were scarecrow.
Yeah, that- I just
And
said-
I've never seen. I know what a garden gnome is, but to be honest, I've never seen. I know a lot of people with gardens.
Yeah.
Around here, they don't really have garden gnomes.
They're not super popular here, but I guess
But
they
it's
do
a
other types
known
of
thing.
decoration.
If you say garden gnome, people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like it's a.
And they're gonna be there's a few
Popular
movies
thing.
out already. I think there's some coming out later. They're super popular. I mean,
Yeah.
they're in the Harry Potter franchise. They're in just it's a typical thing. You see them a lot. I think it's just because they're comical, so you see
Yeah.
them in more movies than we might see them locally. But especially in France and Britain right now, they're super popular. And I looked into why.
what makes them popular? What's the
Such
story
a reason
behind gnomes?
why? Okay.
I've been dying to know.
I thought it would be. I figured it was because of old mythologies that they like. Okay, and let's turn it into a statue of gnomes and what is it, like actual fictional creatures like a leprechaun basically.
Yeah.
But it turns out it goes back to Greco-Roman times.
Ooh.
Yeah, Rome. And then what it is, they had these tiny little statues that was basically based off of the god of fertility. Pralacius? Something
Gnomes are based on the god of fertility.
or one of them at least, and also protecting floors specifically.
Was it the same god who was helped people get
I
fertile
think-
that
I was
protected the
no,
floors?
man, it was Roman times. Who knows? Things were crazy.
That's
So he was
interesting.
basically like that genie from what's that bald guy who clean, Mr. Clean?
Mr. Clean.
Yeah, like I guess you put him on the floor and it'd be like, keep it clean because we haven't invented mops yet.
Mr. Clean and Cupid morphed
Face,
into
yeah,
to
just
one
had
thing,
an
right?
ugly child, and it was the gnome. Well, I guess they kind of kept popularity with rich people for a good while, and they make them out of different things.
So these were actual statues based on
and
the gods.
on the
Okay.
gods. Yeah. Now
Okay.
some of them were a little bit more inspired by, I guess, whatever region they moved to. They'd make it look more like a creature that was supposed to be regional to that area. So in Germany, they made them more of a gnome because the idea of the small statue itself was Greco-Roman. But whenever it reached
Okay.
Germany, they decided, oh, we've got these creatures called gnomes, basically their version of a leprechaun. Let's make it look kind of like these, and they made them look a lot uglier at the time.
Oh, okay, so the whole idea of having a little statue, but the statue representing something are two different things.
Not
well, I mean,
necessarily.
but
it
it kinda-
became
it
something
became
else.
one,
Yeah,
you know.
the idea was moving along. I guess as Rome was like taking things over, and then
Yes.
eventually it stayed with. And they're like, well, "This god means nothing to us," but that's a cool statue. I like the idea of putting one of those in my garden. Let's make it look like something else. Well, also too, that started getting more popular in the Renaissance period,
Okay.
which, as you know, that's when a lot of cathedrals and other buildings were being designed specifically with
Beautiful
gargoyles on the edge. Yeah,
Yes,
gargoyles look awesome.
Angelic
And
beings
they decided, I
demonic
guess,
beings.
to take a note from the gargoyles and make them look really ugly. And I guess the same, I bet you like it was a similar principle of like you're scaring evil out. And it does seem to actually
fight fire with fire.
Exactly. And they do seem to take some of that of okay, gnomes can be really mischievous creatures, but they're also known to guard treasures that have been buried.
Okay.
So
This is what I was thinking
Yeah.
of because I remember there was a whole thing with kind of gnomes are very similar to dwarfs, and I for some reason I kept thinking when I heard gnome,
mythically
I would think of like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and like them in the mines,
Yeah, and that's
digging up
actually
diamonds and
because
stuff.
they're called dwarves, but they actually are designed after gnomes.
Gnomes.
And apparently there was a bit of a after the Renaissance they kind of died in popularity a little bit. They were
Okay.
still make some here and there, but in the 1930s, whenever Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out, they had another bump in popularity.
in
Even
the
though-
whole gnome.
the gnome thing. I guess enough people
thing.
realize like that's not a dwarf, that's a gnome. They got their mythical creatures mixed up. Oh, let's make some more. So a few companies started producing them.
Yeah.
And they were still pretty high end at the time. They were made mostly out of porcelain. I don't think ceramics had really gotten popularity yet. And just whenever their popularity was starting to build, World War I happened. And there was I think actually that was around the 1930s. That's that was like the end of it, and that sort of made
Yeah.
it slump. Then they started gaining popularity again, just when people were starting to make more money. World War II hit, and because the way it hit industry, specifically in Britain and France, where they're the most popular, they died down.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Because it had that popularity rise and fall a couple times, that means that there was a bunch of gnomes out there that were made that were super fancy, real good material, real fancy looking, and that made them a rarity. So that started a whole collector's market. And once there's a collector's market, more people get interested in it, and it just started like slowly building up again, with a peak in the 1970s once again.
Okay.
Now that's okay. So yeah, there was another peak in because more people started doing gardens, hippie stuff.
Okay.
And the next little note was I'd forgotten about this, but it's popped up a little bit with the commercials for Travelocity, I think.
Oh, the traveling gnome.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like a prank? It was sort of like a prank or something that then became
Traveling Gnome. It was called the Traveling Gnome Prank in the 1990s. People would, or a person, I don't remember exactly which, but they would basically steal someone's garden gnome. Then a few days later, they'd send them a picture of it, and then they'd return it, and that was all.
So as
creepy
if,
and funny,
as if
Perfect.
the gnome were to travel somewhere and come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would come on. That's pretty cool.
So it became kind of, I guess, like a
annoying but cool.
Prank or a urban legend kind of thing where people started doing it.
I mean, they knew it. Well, I guess it did gain popularity, so it is a prank, not really an urban legend, but it did become
in Travelocity.
Yeah.
Was it Travelocity that picked it up and
I think so. Yeah, there's
it became their mascot, and everybody knows a traveling
And they
gnome.
do the pictures too, which is all like a hit back to that, which works because pretty much the only people who could afford to like go traveling now are people who were baby boomers and hit at that time. So
and who have garden gnomes. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was like, that was pretty interesting. That had like a whole deep story in it for just this silly little thing.
That's funny. Sometimes we don't realize the depth of history behind things as simple as a garden gnome.
Yeah. And then other times there's something like, oh man, there's like this beautiful, tradition or, statue, something made that just seems grand and amazing. And I'm like, what's the history behind this? And it's like a few years ago, some guy was like, oh, I thought this would be cool. So we did it. It's like, I think every true like monster celebration, it started off with like a few people doing it, then more people got involved. Like I bet you Mardi Gras was like, a couple Catholic families letting loose before, Lent.
Before Lent, yeah.
And then it was like if their neighbors got involved, and then just started building up, and then it's like, hey, we got a destination.
Doesn't there have to be the one person initially?
Yeah.
To say this is a thing.
You need that go-getter of like, we're gonna do something cool. Like let's just hang. Oh, like Burning Man's a perfect example.
Burning Man, yeah.
Burning Man.
I don't know the history behind Burning Man.
It's super simple. Basically, guys went on a beach party, and they have bonfires.
Yeah.
Well, so they had a bonfire, and I think they just like one of their art friends made like a scarecrow statue or something at the time. And I think he made it for something else, and he just decided, well, I need to destroy it anyway. Well, let's just burn it here. And I guess the guy had been like kind of at a low point, and it was just a good get together with his friends. So he's like, let's do this every year. And they did.
The one thing about I was reading a retrospective about the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
They have a festival each year, and basically that's the same way that started.
Really?
Just like a few friends said, we're going to have a Big Lebowski themed party, invited 20 people, 150 people showed up, and they showed up every year after that, and it became this whole big thing.
Yeah, just started building more and more. Like the next time more people brought some friends, other people brought their friends, and then just build up. And now I think you need tickets to get, you do. You need tickets to go. Big thing. Yeah, and like people, it started, like there was a big thing about like the whole commodization of it, like basically like AT&T and other event people wanted to get in, and they're like, we don't want it to be that capitalized, but they still like to get like really good DJs and other artists in. They did it's a way to promote them, or they because they fit the themes, and I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, it's gonna change your life if you go. Most people, it's a party, man.
So next Saturday you're invited to the Roman Roads Gnome Party. We got to come up with a good name. We're gonna start this gnome thing.
Party.
Like
no, we're not. I'm not interested in doing it.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be the one.
It seems offensive. We're gonna get complaints. It's tiny little letters of complaints. Be like, oh, somebody sent a stamp. Oh, it's an envelope. You guys suck. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
Tiny little complaint notes. A lot of great points we made there. Lots of awesome ideas, but you might not think so. Let us know what you feel. Please like and share the videos, and you can find more on
Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and here on our YouTube channel.
Thanks, guys.